Hi. Oh,
Oh, hello.
hi there. Okay. I'm frozen.
Hi, guys. As you
Hello?
come in, if you could put by your name your city or state, I would love to see where people are from. We know a lot of you, but they're occasionally like iPhone, iPad, occasionally people that we don't know where they're logging in from.
Oh, I saw Boulder, Colorado. That's a good first one.
Boulder, where's that?
And Diana, can you rename yourself? Oh, wait, I can rename you, but you can do that. You're also muted.
Yeah, I'll rename myself.
Well, hi, everyone. We're so excited to see people trickling in here. Got 34 attendees. And we'll just give people another minute. Yeah, one more minute. We'll get started.
Zena, if it's all right, I'll go ahead and share my screen for the PowerPoint, or do you want to hold until we begin?
He was going to do a quick intro first, so
Okay,
and then maybe we can pop it on right after that.
sure.
Okay, awesome. Are we going to record this?
Oh, geez.
I'll do it. I'll do it when we're ready to start.
Go for
Wait,
it.
it's recording already. Okay.
Might have been set up.
Hi, guys. My name is Zena. You know what I'm doing. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're 5 past. Do you want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
All right.
Six past.
Do-
Okay. I will go ahead and start. I'm going to make this brief. And first of all, thank you all for showing up and for attending this important meeting. It's been a long time coming for us to move to that next level of building our healing community, supporting all of your hard work and the great work that's being done on a community level. We're so proud that Heal Palestine is a grassroots organization, and it's your organization, and you guys are making the work that we're doing possible. The work that we're doing has had a pretty significant impact in the short time that we've been around, despite what's happening on the ground in Gaza, which is indescribable in real terms. It's just the nightmare, the horror, the cruelty, the injustice, the suffering, the just madness that is being imposed and inflicted on the people of Gaza and in Palestine in general, but particularly in Gaza, is just, beyond the scope of what any of us could properly understand without being there. But with that being said, we're very proud that we're one of the leading organizations now operating on the ground in Gaza. And the work that we're doing is pretty wide and pretty significant. We've been, with your support, the main organization bringing injured kids out and getting them treatment all over the country for free. And, we're getting close to 50 kids now that have been treated or will be treated in the next couple of weeks, since we were founded at the beginning of 2024. And that's thanks to you guys. And so thank you for housing them, for taking care of them, for making their lives better, for healing them and giving them a sense of hope and a sense of worth, because, these kids come here feeling alone and isolated, as do their mothers and the people that come with them. So you guys have rebuilt their spirits as we rebuild their bodies. But in addition to that, we've continued to support one of the main hospitals in Gaza. That it's a field hospital, but it's been providing thousands and thousands of people medical care on a regular basis in South Gaza, despite as I said before, the nightmare in which people are living there. And despite the fact that it's running out of supplies and constantly under attack, and the kind of cases and patients that they're seeing are often beyond the scope of providing them care just because they're so badly injured, we are providing a significant service to the health sector in Gaza with our field hospital. Again, that's close to $2 million a year we put into that project, and that's thanks to you guys making it possible. Within our health pillar, we're doing a lot of other work in addition. We have medical teams going on a regular basis, mainly into the West Bank to do training and to provide treatment there. Because one of our main objectives is to really address the defects and the deficiencies in the health sector, but also into Gaza with the heavy restrictions that are being imposed on medical teams going into Gaza. That makes it more complicated, in particular, that teams have to go in for a month, volunteers have to go in for a month, and you can imagine how much of a challenge that is for a physician to have that kind of free time. Nonetheless, we are sending medical teams in, and of course, our our clinics that we run also, in addition to the field hospital, I forgot to mention we have a brand new, not brand new, it's a couple months now, but it's new and relative to the organization, a medical clinic in northern Gaza, which is providing important services to the population, which has been starved, been besieged, has just been relentless atrocities being committed against the people of northern Gaza in particular. We have a clinic there that's providing important medical services. All of this, of course, we constantly share with you through our social media platforms, but it's good to remember the important and significant work that's being done there. We are going to be opening a new clinic in Egypt run by Gazan doctors with Egyptian work permits that will be treating Gazan patients for free. And, there's tens of thousands of displaced Gazans in Egypt that are not part of the Egyptian system. And the Egyptians have done a lot for them, but they're still not integrated into the society there in the sense that they are citizens. So building a health service for that population is very important, and we're excited about that project, which is coming online in the next couple of months. And then, of course, we have our mental health program, both on the ground in Gaza and in Egypt. In addition to that, we are continuing our education programs and support for students, whether they're in Gaza, whether they're displaced students outside, whether they're part of our global healing program with patients coming here. As those of you who are in touch with the kids that have come to this country know that we put a high priority both on their therapy, mental health therapy for them and their families who are with them, but also in education as well. We really have been pushing that and realize how important it is for these kids to have a future through education. Unfortunately, with the siege that's been imposed in Gaza over the past 3 months, the genocide's been going on obviously since October of 2023, and Gaza was under harsh closure and siege before that for many, many years, since 2006, and of course, occupation since 67. The list goes on and on. But with the recent breakdown of the so-called ceasefire and the closure of Gaza over the past 3 months, no aid has gotten in, and that includes us. We have right now, I think, 6,000 tents in Ramallah that we purchased in China and shipped to with the approval to go into Gaza before the breakdown of the so-called ceasefire. So we have, a lot of aid that is waiting, and we're ready as soon as we're able to get permission to enter aid into Gaza. We'll be one of the main organizations that has permission to do that. However, I'm sure some of you seen recently the new American-led humanitarian hub in southern Gaza that was a disaster. It was just an incredible embarrassment, but also just an injustice that people have to be treated like animals to receive a meal, to receive food for their families. And we were asked and even tried to impose to be part of that, and we refused. We follow the international law. We follow humanitarian law and the United Nations on these decisions, and we're not part of that process of kind of uh, forcing Palestinians to come into this kind of system of aid, which is very politicized. But our food kitchens have not been operating because of the inability to get food into Gaza. Occasionally, we do get some supplies here and there from the local market or wherever we can get it. But for the most part, we've not been able to get aid in the last 3 months, and that's caused a huge impact on our work on the ground there, as it has to everybody, but also more importantly to the people who are in need of this food. And then now I think the reports are that something like 80% of the population are living on one meal a day and close to, and that malnutrition and starvation is becoming widespread. How long this will go on and how long the world will stand aside and let this happen is beyond anyone's ability to understand it from a human perspective. But this is what's happening, And I think finally, because I know we have more important, not more important things to talk about, but things of more substance, because what we're trying to do is find ways that we can have a positive impact on this issue, things that are going to make a real difference. And that's what we're all so frustrated about. That's what we all feel so hopeless and helpless about, is that we don't feel that we're able to do as much as we need to do and what needs to be done. Because of the scale and because of the widespread nature of this genocide, which has destroyed all infrastructure, destroyed the education system, the health system, the food supply, the inability of people to just live of any kind of secure life there, the complete breakdown of social order in the sense that the Israelis are destroying all aspects of the social fabric there. We have to do something, and at least at the very minimum, intervene in the lives of those who are the most deeply affected. If you follow us on social media, please do, because we still have an incredible team on the ground in Gaza who just yesterday, when a young child's family, the young girl, I'm sure you saw her in the fires in northern Gaza, when her whole family was killed, our team came and took her out, started her mental health therapy, got her so clothing, got her some toys, tried to give her some support. And that's the kind of work our team on the ground there is doing, and we're very proud of that, and we're very much committed to doing all we can to help the people there. So, with that being said, this is your organization. All of this is because of you. We want, and from day one, if those of you who have been with us from day one, and even before in our previous organization, our commitment is building an organization which Palestinians and people who love Palestine, like myself and like Zena, feel deeply, deeply feel that we're able to give some kind of support and positive impact to the lives there. And that's what this whole organization is about. And this is why hopefully you're all involved and have made it possible for us to do this work. So with that being said, that's just some of our achievements. The real achievements are seeing our kids walk again, seeing our kids recover, seeing their moms smile as much as they're able to, seeing the kids smile, and letting them feel a sense of hope and that they're not forgotten. That's where the real achievement comes from. That's what keeps us going every single day, and that's what makes us determined to never give up, no matter what the circumstances are. So, with that being said, handing it over to our co-founder and my lovely partner, Dr. Zina Salman.
Thank you so much, Steve. I think those are the updates that people really want to hear. What is the work on the ground, especially because our volunteers are the people who are driving that work, funding that work, and ensuring that that work happens. Welcome, you guys. Good evening to everyone. We're so happy that so many people are with us tonight. We have almost 50 attendees, it looks like. Just a testament to the fact that our communities are not losing energy, not losing interest, not losing compassion or the desire and the drive to continue to help in these horrific times. I know that there are a couple of new names on the participant list, so I will briefly do an introduction. I'm Dr. Zina Salman. I'm a pediatrician and a co-founder of Heal Palestine. I'm a board member, but I sort of help all over the place as we are still a little bit in startup mode. And that's a little bit of what I want to talk to you guys about before I hand it off to Diana. As you all know, Heal Palestine was established on January 1st of 2024, mainly in response to what we saw happen starting in October of 2023. Obviously, I don't think any of us imagined the duration and the scale of the atrocities that we would witness firsthand, right? I think we all felt and believed and truly hoped that this would be something that we would be in the rebuilding phase very quickly. And yet here we are, and we know that the work needs to continue, and we know that all of you are a huge part of that. So I think in addition to all the operational achievements that we've been so fortunate and had such amazing staff to help us achieve across the board in Gaza, in Egypt, and in the United States. We've also had great growth of the organization, starting from just our co-founders, 4 people, myself, Steve, and our legal and compliance officer, Shireen Qaru, as well as our other co-founder, Tanya Nasser, who I think is on the call with us tonight out in LA. But we started out like that from scratch and slowly built up to now an established organization where if you counted the number of full-time staff, part-time staff, contractors, we have many daily workers in Gaza because of our kitchens and our schools and so much else. And we're talking about now, upwards of 30 to 40 people who work for Heal on a regular basis. We're so grateful for that growth because it enables us to do these operations. But I know that one of the biggest additions that you all have been waiting for so long is the community coordinator. And so we're so grateful to have Diana Naoum, who's newly joined our team. We'll be introducing her and asking her to introduce herself in just a moment. I just want to talk briefly about our healing communities and why we brought Diana on board. You all know why these communities exist because you know why you're here tonight, and we know that you know why you have been a part of Heal this whole time. None of us can stomach every single morning waking up and checking the news and essentially seeing that things have gone from bad to worse every single day. And the scale of the atrocities and the types of the atrocities, and even those very personal ones where we see a little girl like Werd, who we saw over the weekend, a child or a family, the family of Dr. Ala al-Najjar, so many different kind of individual stories that we're witnessing every day and the pain that we're all collectively feeling. And I know that all of us have felt so many shared things that we've brought into Heal Palestine, the pain, the compassion, as well as that helplessness and hopelessness that we all feel every single day. I know that we all wake up and we still scroll every morning. We're all getting on Instagram and trying to find out what's happening on the ground in Gaza. And I know also that we've all felt this need to do something to take all of that pain and helplessness and to translate it into action, and to feel like we can do something, no matter how big or small we're able to do, to make a difference in the lives of the people of Gaza. And that's really the essence of Heal Palestine. We've said this many times before, but I think it bears repeating, which is that Heal Palestine is about healing the children of Gaza, but it's also about healing our souls. Being here in the United States and watching things from afar is too damaging to our souls. And so Heal exists because it is a grassroots organization where every single one of you is part of Heal. It's part of the organization and is part of making a change to do something positive in an otherwise really terrible time. It's about feeling like you're a part of something where people are like-minded, where we can often turn left and right at work, in public spaces, and maybe feel like the world is really otherwise. So knowing that there are people who are just like you, who share the same heart and same compassion as you, and also knowing that we can do things to make a change. And so in the past almost year and a half since we've established Heal, you guys have just done incredible things. And by that, I mean hosting over 100 events in the past year and a half for Heal Palestine, funding the work that Heal is able to do. And that starts from the 20 iftars that were hosted by various communities last Ramadan when we were only 3 months old. Like it was March of 2024, and there was an iftar almost every single day of Ramadan, which was incredible. Having tables and booths at various Palestine, Arab, humanitarian festivals that have happened across the country, hosting our kids, right? We've brought almost 50 children to the United States, kids who thought they weren't going to ever have a chance to walk again or to get that surgery that there was no more access to in Gaza. All of these things that have been totally life-changing for children and their families that you all did. You opened up your homes, you opened up your hearts, you drove kids to appointments, you took them to the airport and back. You took weekends to organize and run events. I know that we have communities here that hold meetings every single week who are talking in the group chats every single day about the next event, the next thing for their child, the next thing that the mom needs, et cetera, et cetera. So we know that you all have put your hearts and souls into this. And what we want to do on our end is to help to support that and to help to organize that in a way that is helpful for you all, and in a way where you all feel like you're getting everything that you need from Heal, whether that's information, whether that's materials for an event, whether that's guidance on how to plan the event and more. So today we really want to help to structure our communities. We want to help you understand what the potential roles are. We want to help you understand who you can contact with different questions, who you're going to liaise with within your team, and just who your points of contact are within Heal in general. We also want to hear from you about how often you want to have update meetings and calls with Heal Palestine to hear about the operational news. We want you to have more access than what people are getting in the newsletters, right? So we want to be able to do more for you and get you more of what you need. So we're so glad that we have Diana with us today because we have grown as Heal Palestine to having over 25 healing communities across the country. We've also held events around the world, including the Gulf, including the UK and Ireland, including Korea. We've had events all over the world, and that is all because of you all. So our goal is to organize things. Our goal is to get you the support that you need. And our goal is to introduce today Diana Naoum. So I'm going to turn it over to Diana to talk a little bit more about what these communities are going to start to look like and what support we can give you all. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Zena. Can you all see my screen? I'm sharing a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. We already touched on it. I'm not sure if you would like to add more, Zena or Steve, in terms of generally defining what is a healing community.
Sorry,
And
if you want to go into presenter mode, we can see your screen, but it's
oh,
um, like full screen.
just a moment. It's not full screen yet.
Like we can see like the preview of all the slides below.
Um,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, might be that.
Okay. How about this? No.
It's still the same. All right. Well, I think probably everybody can see it anyway. So maybe you can go ahead. But do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Sure, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Diana Naoum, and it's so good to finally and officially meet you all. I know we've been communicating over the weeks, whether we're trying to close up events from this past Ramadan or starting on organizing for new events. So it's been such a pleasure to get to know you, and I look forward to working with you all more and getting to know your communities better. And hopefully today it will provide some clarity and guidance as to how we hope to better strengthen and expand the communities that we've established and hope to establish. Um, okay, so um, Steve or Zena, did you want to add anything to these initial topics we already discussed? You already touched on them.
Go.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about them already, so I think you can move on. It's just really obviously that, the healing community purpose is to help the kids, it's to help ourselves, and to be able to show a sense of solidarity and unity with the people there who feel very isolated, having a genocide committed against them in front of the world, and to show them that their lives matter, the lives of their children matter. It's really the main focus of what we're trying to accomplish.
And again, today's conversation is to dive into our plans and to provide an overview of how we plan to or what we envision for strengthening and expanding our heal communities in support of our humanitarian mission, and to give each healing community the support, the resources, and guidance needed to effectively support the mission of Heal Palestine. So essentially, we have these 5 roles in mind: a community president, a patient coordinator, an events coordinator, a treasurer, and volunteer coordinator. And a lot of these roles, perhaps all of these roles, have been established in some communities, but not all communities. So we're hoping to take that conversation forward today and start speaking with each community on how we could better support these roles, identify these roles, and further build them within each community. And starting with the community president, again, this is something that, from what I've experienced so far, it exists in some of the communities, but we're hoping to better solidify that moving forward. The community president would be leading and organizing the local healing community. They would be facilitating communication with national leadership, and national leadership being myself. I would be the direct point person that would liaise between the local chapters and HEAL management or HEAL's leadership, ensuring alignment with HEAL's mission, overseeing community overreach, outreach, and volunteer engagement, and reporting on local activities and progress. through interval reports. There's also the patient coordinator, and we're hoping to have one patient coordinator per patient. And this would mean supporting patients and their families by coordinating transportation, as some of you are already doing, and essentially serving as the key local contact for both the host family and HEAL support teams. In terms of the events coordinator, this person would be planning a variety of local fundraising and outreach events, from managing all logistical aspects in identifying and selecting the venue to volunteer coordination and, execution on that day. And as you're all familiar with, submitting a detailed event proposal, including a proposed budget and also post-event key takeaways and lessons learned. The treasurer would also be working closely with the events coordinator in submitting some of these reporting, but essentially this person would be managing local financial activities, ensuring that all fundraising expenditures comply with HEAL Palestine's policies, and submitting also regular reporting, and those will be defined later. We will be providing more defined SOPs or standards of procedures for each of these roles in the coming weeks. So again, this is just an overview for the roles that we envision that we would like to have in each community, and how to better strengthen those communities through these SOPs. And there's also the volunteer coordinator, and this person would be essentially managing the recruitment, onboarding, and ongoing engagement of local volunteers in that community. And they'd be serving as the main point of contact for support and coordination, as well as supporting youth engagement efforts. And youth engagement could be potentially a subcommittee within the volunteer coordinator role. And we also wanted to just preview the SOPs. We'll be sending these in the coming weeks, but this is just to give an idea of what they would be looking like for these community roles, the purpose of them, their structure and roles. Um, uh, they're defined and the deliverables are defined, but they're designed essentially to disperse the roles among a large number of the volunteers that exist within each community, as well as to help guide volunteers on the responsibilities and expectations of each specific role. They're also designed to ensure consistency, accountability, and impact across all local chapters, so that they serve as a foundation for effective leadership and community-based support. Um, and Yeah, that's they're going to be these guidelines that we will be sharing in the coming weeks. So we just wanted to preview them with you today and provide this overview of these roles, and would be interested to hear your thoughts, comments, any questions or advice and input.
Thank you, Diana. Before we get to the questions, comments, advice, thank you for sharing all of that. I just want to make it clear to everybody, like we're all one team, and the purpose of building these kind of structured communities is just for us as a compliance organization. We're all, as you all are aware, we're all under kind of a spotlight right now, under a microscope by the current regime in power in this country. I think there was something that came out today about how they're not going to issue visas to people who have pro-Palestine stuff on their social media. So, every organization that's working in Palestine, in particular, those of us who are having an impact, like Heal Palestine, we have to make sure that everything we do is structured, is compliant, is not going to cause us any issue that's going to undermine what we're trying to accomplish as an organization, obviously. So having structured communities where we can bring kids in for treatment and make sure that there is a good leadership in place that can take care of these kids, that can manage and work with the volunteer community, that can bring more people in to volunteer and how to engage them and how to make sure that they share our values and they're not here to undermine what we're trying to accomplish or potentially cause problems. I mean, we all have our own political views on Palestine. Probably 98% of us share that same view. But for this organization, we put whatever our personal views or religious views are aside because our mission is to help people. And therefore, we just have to make sure that volunteers come in, share those values, and that, when we have a kid come into the community, it's a big responsibility, and that we're going to make sure that we take care of them. Now, you guys have all done an amazing job with the 45 kids that we've brought so far for treatment in this country, and that's thanks to you, all of us being on the same page. But as we realize, there's thousands more kids that need medical care in Gaza, and who knows when the health system there is going to be able to treat them locally. So it's really on to organizations like ours to help as many as possible. And the kind of patients that we get every day from our field workers in Gaza they're just horrific. I mean, you guys have seen them in your communities and you've seen them on social media. We're the main organization that's kind of tasked with trying to help them. So having a patient coordinator, it's essential. And we have an amazing global healing team. Randa, Noor, Sabrine, Sundus are the main people here. We have in Egypt, we have in Gaza, we have in the West Bank who prepare these kids. But it's really up to the local volunteers that work with them and manage them day to day that are the ones that make the big difference in these kids and with the host families and with the volunteer engagement and support for them. So it's really important that we give you guys that support, and our social workers will be working with your local patient coordinators. Same with the treasurers. Our accounting team will be working with your treasurers to make sure that that whatever policies and procedures that we have in place will be standardized. There'll be training if necessary. We're not here to put a burden of work on your shoulders, but just to make sure it's facilitated and you have all the support you need. Diana is going to be here to also help facilitate all of that work with coordination of volunteers. We'd love to build, more smaller healing communities in universities, in school clubs, things like that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And, you can build teams around this as well. The events coordinators, for example, you might have 4 or 5 or 6 people on an events team that put together an event. And it could be people who are also volunteering in other aspects of the community, healing community as well. But the important thing is that, you have our support, that we have certain clear guidelines as to how we want to work together. And we'd love to hear your input on this as well, because we're all here to coordinate and together and support each other and to make this work as impactful as possible. So we didn't want to present this as kind of this bureaucratic process, but just that it's more structured and that you're going to have more support. It's really, really been mainly, as you probably all know, Zena and a few of our staff who have other work in the organization that have been carrying the weight for events for the past year plus. So having Diana here is going to be a big blessing for all of us to have somebody who's the point person to communicate with when you need things, when you need merchandise, you need support for organizing an event, you need, to reach out to potential speakers and those kind of things. All of that will be under her purview, and we'll be all here to support you guys. So with that being said, I think we'd love to open it, unless Zena and Diana, you wanted to add anything to that. At the end of the day, this is all just about building an effective, transparent, impactful organization, which we all work together as a team. And we understand your volunteers, you have families, you have work, and we're not trying to, put a burden on you. We're actually here to lessen the burden and to give you guys the support you need to help more kids and to show the world that we're standing with Palestine and we're not going to give up our responsibility to the people there. So, Zena, Diana, before we open it for questions, did I miss anything here?
No, I don't think either of you did. I just want to add one thing for the communities, and I think Fatima put it in her Q&A as well, which she raises a great point. Last year, we sent out a list of roles, and it was much more detailed than this. What we wanted to showcase to you guys tonight was really sort of the basic structure of what a community looks like. Like those are sort of the very main roles. Like if you have a kid coming, we definitely have a patient coordinator. We have communities where we have more than one patient coordinator when there's more than one child, but sometimes it's one patient coordinator who manages multiple children. We've had communities in which there's been a merchandise coordinator. and that's a unique one. We have communities where there's more than one events coordinator because they like to hold multiple events. And so there's some aspect to this that we think is definitely going to be individualized community by community, but we did want you to know that on a very basic level, we are looking for that community lead, that patient coordinator, that lead for events. Definitely a treasurer because there's always, the person who, especially if they have some kind of accounting or finance background, that's great. If they don't, it really isn't rocket science. Like that's not my strength at all, but I've learned it and can understand it. And so you can too. And then finally, that volunteer coordinator, which has been called community outreach in the past as well. So when we send out the SOPs to you, it's definitely going to be in more detail, but we wanted you to just understand that basic structure so that you can start thinking through some of these roles with your communities as well.
Thanks. Are we able to open this up for Q&A in which people can raise their hand and we can call them and they can ask, or they have to type it in?
They have to type it in, but we can
Okay.
definitely go through some of these out loud. So
Can I just take 1 second and just give a shout out to Fatima in Chicago for being the patient coordinator for 6 injured kids right now from Gaza. So we always are like, oh, we need one for each child, and she's doing six at the same time. So just a shout out to Fatima in Chicago for taking that huge task and doing so much for these kids. Thank you so much. Zena, I think I'm gonna leave it to you to read these questions and see how we can answer them.
yeah,
Maybe
I
we'll
think
start.
Diane and I can tag team
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So Lily asked a question. I think this is Lily in New York. Will there be applications for these roles, and can some of these roles be done remotely? So I'm not sure what you mean by remotely. Like, hopefully, you live in the community that you are planning to volunteer in. So we don't want somebody who lives in Florida and they're volunteering in Detroit, for example. So certainly if you mean local to your community and then remote in terms of your communications with Diana or us, of course. That absolutely makes sense. In terms of the applications for these roles, we do have a volunteer application form, generally speaking, but what's going to happen is in the coming weeks and months, kind of depending on each community, some of you are fairly structured already, and some of you are going to need, sometimes we have groups of people that are kind of doing everything together. We love that. And I know there are lots of communities that say to us, we don't need roles. We do everything together. And we think that's amazing because that's the spirit of teamwork that we're looking for. However, on our end, we really need that point person for all those different things. So that's where Diane is going to come in, set up meetings with you and help to structure that. And some of that's going to come together organically where there is that person who maybe has a little bit of a health background and might be the patient coordinator, somebody who's loves event planning, and some of that's going to come together organically. And some of that we're going to have to parse out a little bit more detail. So there is a general volunteer form. But then in terms of the specific roles, that's what she's going to work through with you all. Anything you want to add there, Diana?
No, it was something previous that I think you had mentioned it on the treasurer. You had just reminded me that we would also be providing trainings to the roles like the treasurer or the event coordinator to help um, better understand the processes that we have in place, the support that we can provide, and the kind of reporting that we're looking for after events or proposals before events. So I just wanted to mention that note earlier, specifically on trainings, and for those to be on your radar as well as a form of support from us.
Thank you. Talha asked a question. That's Talha out in the Bay Area, in California. One of the challenges in being a representative for HEAL, and I know he says this because he literally holds an event or represents HEAL every weekend for the last year. So shout out to Talha, is communication. Should WhatsApp be the main tool with which we communicate with volunteers? Can we have a community email address that we can use to take inquiries and use as an official correspondence? That is a great question. We are trying to figure out what the best mode of communication is. We've had a bit of issues with email addresses in the past, doing them through Heal, and so we're trying to figure something else out. It's sort of still in the brainstorming process, but we would love to hear any ideas. You guys know this is always like a collaborative process. So that is something that we do plan to address in the coming weeks. Talha, thanks for bringing that up. Diana, want
And
to take
I was just going to mention something about the communication with groups. I mean, obviously, we've already developed a lot of our healing communities into WhatsApp groups. It's not ideal, of course. WhatsApp has its issues, and I'm sure many of you are on dozens of different groups. And we have usually for different communities, we have a core group where really the main volunteer group is involved in, and then we have a wider group where you can reach out to if you need somebody to take one of the patients to an appointment, or we're having an event and you need people to come and things like that. Um, we feel that that's probably still the most efficient way to communicate on a large scale. And but we're open to ideas for better communication. Just because everybody uses WhatsApp, it's instantaneous. You can forward stuff easily. Um, but it does have its pros and cons. But overall, I think the positive aspect for instant communication to a wide group, it outweighs the cons. But happy to hear any feedback. And I know it's all of these platforms have some Zionist ownership, and unfortunately, it's hard to escape anything these days that doesn't have a Zionist fingerprints on it. But with WhatsApp, I mean, I don't feel any insecurity about it because we're not doing anything wrong. We're helping kids get medical care. If ultimately that is a crime, then I mean, that's the price we pay for standing up for justice during these days. But right now, we're not doing anything in which we have to worry about our security for the platform.
And I think what Talha was referring to also is like, I know that their community is very active on WhatsApp, but I think they mean also like when they hold an event and put it something on a flyer that
Yeah.
how can the greater community reach out to them. So that's, I think, what we're definitely going to be addressing.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we've been building MailChimp or newsletter groups for each community. So I know if you go to the Bay Area, we have hundreds of email addresses for that community that we can always announce events or anything else that's happening in that community. And then that also is pulled into our national or global newsletter group. And we can, design kind of messaging to specific communities. But again, it's limited, right? It's only going to the people that have those emails in the system. So we would love to build that up more, but love to hear from you, Talha, or anybody else if you have other ideas that can help with the communication process to be more streamlined and efficient.
All right, next question.
Okay, jump to the next question from Annie. Any chance to have Steve come to South Florida as we plan to start a chapter here? It would really help launch while momentum is high.
Annie, how close to the beach are you?
Uh, My wife is the one who now is in charge of my travel schedule. We have two small kids. Would love to. And Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Sarasota, those are all areas that we know there is a vibrant community that wants to be part of Heal. We already have in Jacksonville, a core group. So yes, yes, we will organize something to come down to South Florida sometime soon, inshallah, and build those communities. And we're excited about that. So thank you, Annie, for supporting that and helping us get started there.
The next question is from Reem. Please elaborate more on the volunteer coordinator role and responsibilities. So essentially, the coordinator for volunteers would be managing the recruitment, onboarding, and ongoing engagement of volunteers, serving as that main point of contact between the volunteers and the chapter and the national leadership team. Also overseeing scheduling, ensuring that there are sufficient volunteers at events to support their maintaining records. So the forms that volunteers fill out, maintaining that information, and supporting youth engagement efforts. And again, this could be through a student volunteer subcommittee. And I'm not sure if you want to add anything, Steve or Zena, but that's what we kind of foresee for this position.
I think every day we get emails in
Yeah.
from people in the community that want to volunteer, and they'll say, "Hey, I live in Chicago, I live in Detroit, I live in New York, and I see the work you're doing. It's amazing. I want to be part of it. How can I get involved?" And that's where we would hand that over to the local volunteer coordinator in each of the healing communities and find out what that person's abilities are, what their interests are, what their skills are. Maybe they want to host a child and maybe they are able to take someone to their appointments. Maybe they have connections in a different community somewhere where there's a huge amount of interest in being part of Heal, and they can put an event together. That's really the role of the volunteer coordinators, just to engage each of the volunteers that want to reach out and just see what their skills are and what they want to do and how they we want to give people a chance to be involved. This is an organization for us to heal as well and give people a chance to heal by being involved and doing something good. So as much as we can offer that opportunity to the communities at large and really guide them in ways that they can be involved and effectively involved, that's going to have a blessing for everybody. And most importantly, for each of us to get that benefit of doing something good for the people of Gaza. So the volunteer coordinator, that would be the main role, is really to engage and help build up new communities and new chapters, new clubs in each of the local healing communities that can support our work and have a bigger impact.
The next one's from Alicia. She says she's a family NP by training. Are there permanent medical roles available with Heal Palestine? Alicia, I believe you're the same Alicia who is volunteering at our camp, if I'm not mistaken, as a nurse practitioner in just 2 weeks. So that's awesome. And we look forward to meeting you there. And just so you guys see, those are like, the ways that people can join. She's going to be able to interact with and help care for, 30 kids, over 30 kids from Gaza in a couple of weeks. We don't at the moment have any openings, but let's definitely chat when we see you in a couple of weeks outside of Columbus.
Yeah, and I don't think you mentioned the summer camp in detail, did you? I might have missed that. Zena, that I don't
Yeah.
know how many you're familiar, but we have been working very hard on putting together a summer camp in a couple of weeks for all of the kids that are here from Gaza, their siblings, and many of them are here with brothers and sisters, and with their mothers or their aunts or their grandmothers who are their guardians. And that summer camp will be week long with the intention of giving them um, the experience of for the kids a chance to regain some childhood, to have some amazing experiences in the outdoors, to bond with each other, to heal without the constant you know, pressure and anxiety of what they've already been going through and what their lives are like. And for their moms or aunts or grandmothers to also have a chance to exhale and to have some social interaction, to give them a chance to meditate and to do a variety of different activities which are going to help them to just have a chance to be normal again after what they've gone through. So we're excited about that. I don't think a summer camp has ever been done like this before for injured Gaza kids or for any Palestinians in this country who are not Palestinian American. So we're so excited about it, and I think as you mentioned, Zena, we have people coming who are on this call to the camp, and we're excited about seeing you there.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm just going to try to knock out a couple of these easier ones really quickly because we're getting short on time here. There's an anonymous person who asked if there are still opportunities to volunteer at the summer camp, such as being a camp counselor. We are past the deadline. However, if you are a community member, we're definitely giving priority to those people. So just email us summercamp@healpalestine.org, summercamp@healpalestine.org. Try to get that email in today-ish, I would say. And give us your name and your CV. Let's see. There are a couple of questions about the clinic, which I think are great, Steve. If you want to just talk for a minute or two, Steve, a minute or two about the clinic in Egypt. They're specifically about some Gazan doctors who recently graduated or about to graduate, and sort of who can practice in Egypt, I think is part of the question being asked.
Yeah, to legally practice in Egypt, you have to be licensed by the Ministry of Health in Egypt. So that's not a lot of people from Gaza who have that opportunity, but there are surprisingly not a small number of displaced Gazan physicians who have also Egyptian boards that enable them to work inside of Egypt. So those are going to be the main physicians who will be staffing the clinic that will be providing medical services to the displaced Palestinian population. However, if there are people, particularly medical students, that would like to volunteer. I don't think that that's an issue as opposed to people who are actually staffing it. They can reach out to us. We have a volunteer at healpalestine.org email that anyone who's interested in knowing more about the camp or the clinic or wanting to be involved with the clinic, they can just message us and we'll be happy to see how we can engage them and give them the opportunity to be involved.
Awesome. Damia in DC asked, are all positions required? For instance, can we choose to not have a chapter president, which as we said, we're sort of rebranding to community lead. Yes, so the ones that we presented are sort of the bare bones skeleton. We do need to have a point person. Like we said, I know that some communities don't need them because they function so well together. However, on our end, we do need to sort of have that main person that we reach out to for certain things. You all know very well, Dumia, you know, we'll hear about a festival where they say part of the proceeds are going to go to heal. So we want to know, like, we need to reach out to somebody and say, hey, would anybody be able to do this? And then you take that back to your team. Hey, local media wants to do a story on this kid in your community. Well, we want to reach out to somebody to then talk to the team about that. So we do need just that point person. That's really all it is. We don't want this to be like a big thing, like you're the president and everyone's under you. It's really just we need to have a specific point person that we liaise with for basic communications. Obviously, every single member of the team is going to have different opportunities to communicate with the HEAL staff, but that's what that's for. So yes, those 5 roles are the kind of core ones that we're looking for. Fatima's asking in Chicago, any updates to planning future events? And Diana, you might want to just talk about how we're working on some SOPs.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll be sharing with you in the coming weeks an SOP on event planning, everything from securing the venue to submitting the proposal to us, suggesting your speakers that you're considering to us, proposed budget, etc. So these SOPs will have the specifics as to how to go about that process and coordinate with us and how we can provide support, as well as how to wrap up the events afterwards. So handling donations, and working closely with myself and our accounting team on uh, you know acknowledging those donors, etc. So we will be in touch in the coming weeks and we'll share those SOPs. And again, we'll also be providing trainings on coordinating or organizing these events as well.
Thank you, Diana. Exactly that. The only one thing I want to add, like the idea here is not that we want to micromanage our communities. We absolutely don't want to do that. Some of you guys like know how to manage events better than we do. Case in point, last year we had 7 5Ks and nobody on the HEAL team knew how to plan a 5K. You guys did it all. They were all amazing. And I still have no idea how a 5K is organized. But there are some things that we are under more scrutiny about and that we want to just be able to communicate more with the teams about. And that can be with speakers in particular. That can be about some of the accounting practices that take place. So just from an IRS standpoint, from a PR standpoint, from a talking politics at event standpoint, those are things that we're going to communicate with you guys and coordinate with you guys a little bit better about, just because we want to make sure that we are able to continue to do this important work. Hannah asked if there's a community document area where we can share our documents with each other so that we don't reinvent the wheel. Diana, do you want to tell about the folder that we started recently?
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to suggest something else, but we have a shared folder with a bunch of our materials that you could reference when organizing an event, whether it's informational material that you could print for these events, also procedures on processing donations. Again, those SOPs for events would be in there. Any additional digital materials that we think would be helpful, we would put in this folder to share with you. I was also going to suggest, based on, I think, this comment, if it would be helpful, was this one about not inventing the wheel? I think the comment was deleted. Okay, perhaps we could create a shared folder for core groups for those that are handling the flyers or the promotional side of things, so you guys could see what others are creating in the community. So if that would be helpful, yeah, that's something we could definitely consider.
Yeah. Other things that currently live in that folder, thank you, Diana, are, like she said, informational materials. So like a copy of our brochure. We have a new like one pager that people can then print out, because sometimes I know people are like, hey, I have a booth on Saturday. Well, we can't get brochures to you in 24 hours. So there's a one pager that you could just print out and get photocopied, for example. That would be a super way to be able to kind of share information, also sort of review information so that you're well informed when representing HEAL. Um, all of our different guidelines, as she mentioned as well, are in there. The one thing I'll say about flyers is that, and this is what our social media person tells us, when communities start sharing flyers with each other, all the flyers start to look alike. And then when they get posted, people's eyes glaze over and they can't tell that this is a different or new event. So there's two sides to that, I would say, for sure. Somebody asked, what about for the events that are already being planned this summer? If you already have an event this summer, you've hopefully already submitted your event form to us, in which case Diana will be in touch with you on an individual basis, and work through some of those guidelines before they're, fully established and sent out. Um,
There is one of the social media pages that Summer's asking about. And I'll just address that quickly. So that's a great question, and that's one that we've talked a lot about.
understand what the question is for people who don't.
Oh, will you be able to have our own local host HEAL social media pages? It's an easy way to reach members, announcing events, and sharing updates about kids who are treating in their own communities. Summer, that's a great question, and it's a valid point. What we found after doing this for many, many years with, as you guys probably all know, I founded and ran PCR for many years, and we had separate social media pages for a lot of different chapters. But what we found is that it diluted the organization's social media impact and presence, and at the same time didn't add much value. There wasn't much community engagement on those pages. And what we found instead is if you centralize the communication structure. So let's say we have an English language Instagram page. We could have an Arabic one as well. But that your community messages can be presented on the main page. Let's say an event, a flyer for an event. And then what we're also able to do on the back end is to target your community through ads. So, if you're in Denver, for example, and you want to promote an event in Denver, our national social media coordinator can post it on our national page, but also make sure that people in Denver and in that community get to see it because it's boosted in that particular zip code or however it is they choose that area. We've been doing that effectively. And we find that that kind of solves the issue of trying to engage people in that way. And then at the same time, you don't have 5, 10, 15 social media pages without enough content to keep those pages active. And then people don't follow them. And then the algorithm that Facebook or Instagram have for those dilutes significantly. So that's really the response on that issue of social media pages. We are always looking for ways to engage the communities locally and find ways to give people information about what's happening. But I think we've done that pretty effectively on our national page. If you follow our Instagram, for example, or Twitter, or I think we're on a bunch of different platforms, you'll see that, all of our kids in Chicago, whenever we get content from our communities in Chicago, we share it. Sometimes it gets backdated a couple days just because there's so much content, but we're always sharing stories about our kids wherever they're at and making sure that that community gets recognition. And we can think about ways with all of your support, how we can maybe use our social media platforms to reach your communities and to bring them into Heal Palestine as we grow and we want to bring more people in. And that'll be for a different discussion. But as far as each kind of healing community having their social media page, we're kind of putting that on the back burner for now because we didn't find that to be an effective way of engaging the communities. On the contrary, it was really diluting the impact that we've had. And our social media growth has been impressive. We're well over 200,000 followers on Instagram, which is a huge year and a half amount of people following Heal Palestine, and that's where we want to reach people through that national platform.
Thank you, Steve. I think that's a great answer. We get that question a lot.
Yeah.
There are two questions that are kind of similar, I think, about helping in Egypt. So we have a great presence in Egypt. We have multiple staff there. I believe we have 4 full-time staff right now there. And they work on our global healing as well as our education initiatives. So Linda asked if there are people who want to volunteer in Gaza and Egypt who are not medically trained. Gaza right now, of course, if you're not medically trained, it's even if you are medically trained, it's almost impossible right now to get in. There are very few doctors compared to the ones who are applying and trying to get permits to enter. Egypt is a much easier thing. And we have a great example of one of our volunteers. Steve, if you want to touch briefly, I know we're over time, but just the next 2 minutes about one of our volunteers, Leila, who just came back from a trip to Egypt. You want to talk about her briefly?
Our Columbus chapter. She's a nursing student, and she went over, I think for personal reasons, but just hooked up with the Heal Palestine team there and was visiting all of the kids that have come out, have already returned for treatment, some of them from the Columbus community that she had grown and had developed relationships with by helping them while they were getting treatment, some of the kids. And then also some of the kids that are coming to the US. She visited them and met with their families and saw the other work that we're doing on the ground there with our Montessori kindergarten and our high school tutoring program where we're preparing kids to take the Tajihi exam, students from Gaza who are stuck in Egypt, helping them to prepare themselves for that massive exam. She got to see the work. She got to go around with our team and also meet with a lot of different, medical education, social workers who are all part of and mental health teams who are part of Heal Palestine. We also had recently a former professional baseball player reach out to me, and he went to Egypt and got to hook up with the team there on the ground as well. So there are opportunities if you are going to Egypt or you would like to go to Egypt and meet up with our team there. We'd be happy. They would love to have you. Um, It'd be a great opportunity for you, I think, also to see the importance of what we're doing on the ground there as well. And just reach out to us. Again, it's volunteer@healpalestine.org is a great way to reach us by email if you're interested in going. If you don't know how to reach us otherwise, we're pretty reachable in so many different ways.
Perfect. Thank
And as
you.
what Annie's asking about education, I think if you're meaning how do you want, so obviously it's a challenge if you're in the States and the kids are in Egypt and you want to be part of their education. That's a challenge, but I assure you, we have an education team in Egypt that are monitoring and managing the kids' education on a regular basis. I think they just took some tests today. I was supposed to share those photos. Oh, I think Manal posted them on our social media. So go to our Instagram page. You'll see some of the work that's being done with the kids that have come back through our global healing program, through the education program. But Annie, if you're talking about going there and maybe helping out in education, yeah, just reach out to us again. We could put you in touch with our education team. But if you mean, you get on a Zoom call and doing some education that way, that's something we could talk about. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that question, but happy to explore it further with you if you like.
Fatima asked about sharing the folder. We will share the folder with all of the core teams. So for those who don't have it, everyone who's had an event in the last month and a half has gotten that folder, but we'll make sure everybody gets it. And if you don't, just reach out. There's a question about expanding our work to Jordan. I would say that Jordan's a little bit of a different environment in some ways because Jordan doesn't have the influx of Palestinians from Gaza that Egypt has experienced. We obviously know that there are tens of thousands. I've read estimates of up to 150,000 Gazans in Egypt. Is that the number that you are knowing also, Steve?
Yeah.
And those are people who we know for the most part are very, very under-resourced. And so that's really where a lot of the target of our work is. Jordan has been far more restrictive in terms of allowing Palestinians from Gaza into into Jordan, and that's actually a lot of where my work focuses. So there's actually very small numbers of Gazans in Jordan. So we do have actually a volunteer network in Jordan that helps us out because we have doctors who go in through Jordan for medical missions and things like that. We've had the occasional evacuations, which haven't happened in a while, that have gone through Jordan, but for the most part, because of the type of work that we're doing right now, our focus is much more on Egypt to be able to target, people from Gaza. I'm sure, as you all know, we wake up every day and check the news and the situation changes and then our plans change accordingly. So what I just told you now might not be true tomorrow. Um, so we asked if they could be a host. I'm assuming you mean like a host family, while you're also a quorum team member. That's another anonymous person. Yeah, yeah, for sure. We have host family applications. If there's a child coming to your community, you apply. Our global healing team will reach out to you and do all the necessary kind of interviews, checks, and everything. And if it's a match that's meant to be, then it will be, inshallah.
Yeah. Shout out to Jamila Herbawi for that one. She's
Hey.
on the core team in Cleveland and been hosting Hamza there for several months. And I'm sure we have others examples as well. I know
Mm.
Jamila. the boss.
Good example there. Okay, I think we actually went through the whole Q&A and only 7 minutes late. Um, guys, this was a really great meeting. Thank you all for such a lively discussion in the Q&A. We hope that we answered all of your questions. If we didn't, Diana, I'm going to go ahead and expose you. Diana at healpalestine.
It's okay.
She's out there now.
Most of you probably
Yeah.
have my email address or my WhatsApp number anyways, so please feel free to reach out. And again, I hope the overview was helpful or the preview of the SOPs that we'll be sharing with you in the coming weeks. So yeah, you'll be receiving these documents from us.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is not a one-way conversation. If you have ideas, input, advice, anything you guys want to, like you are on the ground working in your community, so feel free to help guide us and to do better. Like we're open to hear from all of you on ways that we can improve and better support you and also make our work more effective within the communities where, this is a huge, huge responsibility that we all have. And, at the end of the day, the L in HEAL stands for leadership. And for us, we want to really rebuild this generation that have been, destroyed, this genocide generation of Gaza youth. We want to give them opportunities and have a future. That will only come when the genocide's over or when the kids are out of the genocide. But for now, until we get to that point, we're just trying to do our best to help people survive. So, there's so much in the long term that we have to take on that we haven't even started. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we're trying to do and what we need to do. So we're going to count on all of you to just stay with us, be patient. You have been patient already, and we appreciate that. And just, still we're here to hear from you on what we can do better. And we appreciate you guys being a part of what we're trying to do here. A big part.
Thanks for that, Steve. I think you guys all know how to reach all three of us. You also have volunteer at healpalestine.org. As new people approach and want to help build, you'll be hearing from Diana and all of us as we help structure these communities and move forward with kids coming to your communities for healing. So many more volunteer opportunities are going to come up as we build advisory boards. Let someone else take over.
Aha. Um, Maskina wallahi.
Just take
Aha.
Uh, I think what you, Zena, was trying to say is that I don't know what you were trying to say. Are you okay? We're in
I'm
the same house,
trying to
man. Don't.
divert the attention away, but thank you, Steve, for continuing to focus on my coughing. We just want to thank you all so much for being part of HEAL, for volunteering your precious time. We know that time is like the most valuable resource we all have. Your time and your energy are the engine that makes HEAL Palestine run, honestly. And so we're so grateful. We know that HEAL wouldn't exist without all of you. So I hope we say it enough, but I don't think that we say it enough. We're so grateful for you all. So whatever you need from us, please reach out to us because we want to be that support to you the same way that you're the support. All of us ultimately are the support for the children of Wisdom. That's what we're doing. And HEAL is just the vehicle for that. So thank you guys so much for being with us and reach out anytime.
God bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
all.
you, everybody. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Taha.
You're such a fadiha.
No, it's okay. Did Steve signed off?
He did.
Okay, okay.
He'll come
It's
up with.
okay. It's okay. You guys have a good night. I'm not sure what happened. Wesley and I tested this out beforehand. Not sure what happened, but
No, don't worry. Don't worry. These things happen. We can still see the slides. It was
yeah, but it was very small. We could share that with them, plus all the other information that they'll receive. It was just information pulled from the SOPs. So, okay, that sounds good.
We should just trim the end of the video before we send them.
Sounds good.
Thank
طيب, you guys have a good night.
you. You too.
And thank you.
Great.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.